No gods or kings. With growing income gaps and a drowning middle class, employees are losing rights and being squeezed dry. Unsustainable business models, impossible deadlines, and antagonistic work environments. The odds are stacked against them. Trust me, I was one of them, and maybe you are too. Our site at Lygon Street is situated in Carlton, largely known for its Italian heritage. But right on the edge of the district is a historically rich building, Trades Hall Victoria. The eight columns on the exterior facade at the entrance symbolizes their fight for the 8-hour work week, right here in Melbourne, and the more well-known 8-hour workday monument across Victoria Street. In being equitable, we've made formal moves to reverse hierarchy. Our version of the Solidarity Hall is brought to the outside, in open air, and acts as a sort of speaker's corner. Nothing is hidden behind closed doors or opaque walls. We researched the awning, borrowing from a 2010 paper by Dawn Bassard and Bridget. It's a circular methodology of discussion and testing concepts, itself borrowing from oral traditions. It is traditional knowledge sharing and storytelling, involving respectful listening and speaking, giving everyone an opportunity to speak in this open-air version of a town hall. The entire landscape is now undulating, a far cry from the tight, dilapidated alleyway of the old site, and sinks down where the unions sit to emphasize the reversal of hierarchy.
All this to say, our architecture is about informing and communication. It is an Eden for rights, where trades become a symbol to fight for. And despite only being 3.8% of the population, First Nations people make up 13% of tradies. So we borrow from the First Nations and acknowledge their contributions and practices by respectfully incorporating the message sticks as the basis of our design. These used to be hung on a stick, carried over the shoulder, now broken down into disparate components on the ground, informing community. The Information Telemetry Machines, or ITM, functions as a one-stop connection to appropriate services and external vendors including employment and workers' compensation lawyers, mental health services, and other such consultants. It is the middleman in this exchange. We've designed the site around workers and tradies, the ones who have been done a disservice in working environments. We plan our spaces not just around the interactions between the proposed unions, but the interactions between these and the existing site context. These interactions include student partnerships with unions. They not only receive on-job training that shows the realities of their industry, but also gives them an understanding of the support systems available for them, with the unions being able to get them in touch with their future colleagues.
We also cannot ignore the need for emerging industries, and so we design new union buildings. Publications are important to unions as a means of informing members and coordinating efforts and events. Screens at the front of these unions, facing internally to the pathways on site, act as the communication method. Our overall material palette is derived from the old site. We aim to be the forefront of Melbourne workers' rights, and so we used Melbourne's zeitgeist of the industrial past in the city, using the distinct red brick, steel, concrete, and timber, but with new materials where appropriate, such as homogeneous tiles for high traffic areas on the ground floor. The unions themselves have their individual characteristics to distinguish each one from the other, but keeping with the original design aesthetic, detailing, and material palette. They all embody the concept of reversing hierarchy, eliminating enclosure by reducing the walls on the ground floor where offices are located, opening up the space to public scrutiny. It is a negotiation between the bureaucratic functions of each union and our aim to be transparent in processes by reversing hierarchy that is embodied across the ground floor of the site. City North is already a home for some general unions. However, we have identified some gaps that could be represented in our spaces. These would be home businesses, esports, clean energy, community services, and family services.
A union that serves home businesses and freelancers was the first to be considered for the site. This union aims to provide these individuals with a means to contribute their voices and fight for the rights for them to be properly compensated and treated. The building houses an open-air office space on the ground floor for administrative functions. First floor houses the publication space where our borrowed concept of message sticks comes to fruition, and the second floor sits the therapy and consult room, where privacy is key away from the external. This union is the starting point for our designs, where we then branched out and adjusted according to the necessary spaces of each subsequent union. Esports has a leading industry engagement out of the five, positioned at the corner of Lygon and Victoria Street as the gateway to the site, with arcades and computer labs as enticing third spaces. This esports union will serve as the home for our Mighty esports team, as well as their collaborator Kang, aligning with our Mighty's goal for community engagement. With industry connections and resources that esports can offer, we hope it not only invites City North residents, but industry sponsors as well that can benefit the extended site as part of the system.
This is the heart of the site, housing a tri-generation system in the basement that runs on recycled waste material that is funneled from every building on site. As part of the effort to be transparent about process and information, we designed an open pavilion connecting to the site's corner on Victoria and Orr Street and open on all sites. With screens in the center displaying data on waste collected and conversion rates and energy generated by the tri-generation system. This clean energy union is for emergent clean energy systems engineers and technology with general administration. This leads to the events side of site, planning the events and community outreach to City North. The Community Service Union houses a communal kitchen and library that is in the manner of a street library, operating on goodwill and community presence. And of course, the ground floor is the office administration, close to the open-air amphitheatre, which is the central event space that binds the site together.
The Childcare and Family Services Union is a more playful take on our design motifs, with mosaic tiles and a more fluid form that houses a jungle gym for children. We added play areas for them as well, with office spaces for Childcare and Family Service Union members along winding, undisrupted, tri-colored ribbons that weaves in and out of the building footprint, acting as shelves, tables, and dividing up the spaces. We aim for our proposal to promote open communications and interactions between on-site collaborators, ultimately building an ecosystem within a community that learns and empathizes with one another, finding common ground between industries that protects the underrepresented and strives for new social fabric focusing on the workers' mental and physical well-being and clean energy production through utilizing on-site needs. It invites the general public onto the site as an ecological gateway to City North, not just spatially, but educating them as to what City North Precinct can transform into through the proposal.
Eden rejects borders and hierarchy. No one person is above another. Storytelling is our model for cultural trailblazing for impactful communication, left open-ended for ongoing dialogues into the future. No gods or kings, rights is our goal.